So a big deck that is going on in Pokemon TCG at the moment is a deck that doesn't attack. Now, obviously, you probably could think of some Pokemons that are like that. We've obviously got the Greninja line, we've got Darkrai, and then we've also got Druddigon. Now, Druddigon's brilliant already with kind of letting you set up, basically. You've obviously got to get rid of him to be able to bring in your Gyarados, your Garchomp, or something along them lines. But in this one, you're going to use the Rocky Helmet. And the one thing I didn't know, I thought that it probably would, but instead of doing 20 damage to your opponent, you do 40. So I'm going to show you this deck. Obviously, it'll be on the screen anyway, but it's an interesting deck that is a very interesting shift in the meta. Now, I'm not saying that it's absolutely perfect, and I'm not saying that it's going to be everybody using it, but we already know the Darkrai Weavile into a Coughing Weezing deck works really, really well. This is a very interesting one in itself because it requires very little of anything. No attacking, no nothing. Like, yes, Darkrai is obviously there to attack, and if you don't get the Pokemons to set up, that's going to be the issue. But for instance, Druddigon coming in, the perfect play for it would be Druddigon in first, then you have Froakie on the first turn, Darkrai on the first turn. We then throw in all the way up to Greninja. We're just powering up Darkrai on the kind of edge. So obviously with this, we want to get Druddigon in first if we can, but it might not work on the first one. But there we go. So we've got them two in. And the way this would work, so for instance, I would kind of have to have like a leaf or something to start with. We are just going to leave it like that for the moment for the first turn. But basically, you bring Druddigon in, put him as the kind of lead. You want to put Rocky Helmet on him, so every time they do attack, you obviously get the damage of 40 back to them, or they don't bother attacking. And then eventually, when you get to a point where they're either damaged, or they've got rid of one or two of your Druddigons with Rocky Helmet, you bring Darkrai in, which should have enough energy anyway. So it's a very interesting deck to go against because you don't actually have to attack sometimes, because you'll obviously be using the Water Shuriken for Greninja. You'd be using the Nightmare Aura for Darkrai, and then obviously you'll be using the Druddigon to attack if they are willing to attack at that point as well. So for instance with this, if I was to bring him back, we then swap him out. We then go ahead and put the Rocky Helmet on him. We then put that on there. And then we go ahead and just end the turn there. Now, realistically, there is a Sabrina. This is why you want to get your second Druddigon in as quick as possible. But realistically, without that Sabrina, there's not a lot that they can do, to be honest. If they don't have a Sabrina, which a lot of people are not running on certain decks, that's going to be the interesting. So here, I don't know if he's seen this before or not, but you're going to get the rough skin. So that obviously does the 20. You then get the Rocky Helmet, and he's done 40. I've done more damage to him than he has to me in that whole turn, which is just crazy in itself. Now, obviously, when he does be able to get to the last move, but for instance, something like this, I don't even need to attack, because Darkrai then, I'd put the energy on him, he would do another 20, and then another 40 if obviously it comes off. This is just a very interesting place to be in, because it may not be the full meta right now, and most definitely it's a very basic way of attacking. Like, I don't really like playing like this. I just found it interesting because I saw it with the Druddigon itself. I didn't even put Darkrai together, to be honest, but I saw with the Druddigon I was going up against, they were powering up the Garchomp, and I think I was running a deck that didn't have that much of a hit, to be honest. I think I was trying the Pachirisu deck, and he had the Rocky Helmet on it, and I attacked it and thought, I'm getting 40 against me here. I'm going to be pretty much KOing myself at this point, which is just crazy. So starting off like this is perfect, because obviously, even if you don't get the Rocky Helmet straight away, Druddigon's still going to do the 20. I'm still going to have the ability of Darkrai to do the 20 as well. And if you start second, you can already start doing that damage instantly. So we got the Rocky Helmet instantly there, which is nice. And the good thing when you're going against a Mewtwo in this sort of scenario, when eventually you do get to just Darkrai attacking, you're going to be doing double the damage anyway, pretty much. Like, you're doing your extra 20 because of the weakness also. So it is a very interesting concept to go with. Like I say, I don't think it will be the massive meta, because I do think there's ways around it. But if you set up perfectly, and maybe you don't have the instant KOs, because that's what you've got to have. So, for instance, if I was to let it simmer down and I don't get everything, and Mewtwo gets to his 4 energies, then obviously he's going to take out Druddigon in 1, and you've then got to have a Pokemon that kind of answers back to that. But if you just keep going with it, it's a very interesting deck to go against that can sometimes be a little bit more frustrating than anything. So let me know if you've come up against it. I have come up against nothing but Darkrai at the moment. It is just crazy whenever doing any of the decks. Darkrai is quite comfortably one of the better ones. So he's obviously he's just going to end the turn there, I'm assuming. So we could do with a Froakie and we're pretty much there. Then a second Druddigon just in case of Sabrina would be lovely. And even if I wanted to, bring Druddigon out once he's attacked. And then we can obviously go ahead and start smashing in the Darkrai as well. So let's see where he's going with here. Obviously, Guard is going to be an interesting one to allow the attacks. He's going to try and power up more so than attacking with that one at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to see if I can just get the Froakie or a second Druddigon. Because we've got the Greninja. That will go back in the deck. Give me Froakie. Beautiful. That will obviously start for me. So we can wipe that in. We then go ahead with Darkrai again. And then that will give me the 20. He's not going to attack it because that would do another 40. And he hasn't got the energy for it anyway. So he's going to more than likely power Mewtwo to be able to do the one hit. Now, what I will say is I will want to have a second Druddigon if possible. Because if he does Sabrina, I'll have to obviously go ahead and put a bit of the energy in there. He'll probably swap out Mewtwo. I don't know whether he's going to hit with a 50. I think he probably was better off to wait for that. But we'll see if he does bother with it. He might be just waiting for next turn to just take it out in one. Or maybe not. Unless it's going to... Well, he can't use the Sabrina now. So he's got to be able to do something. Is he going to go for the Sphere? Yeah, he is. Okay, so he's going to do the 40. So even now, so obviously it's going to do the 40 here. What I could do is, because Darkrai's obviously got that 2 energy already, that's going to be the 90. That's going to be enough for Darkrai to actually attack it if I could move it back. Now, obviously I can let it just attack and it might change, but that should be fine still. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Whoops, that's my fault. But again, what I could do is I could start doing any of that. That would be fine. And obviously, if I got the second Druddigon, which I don't, that would obviously go ahead and do that also. So it's a very interesting scenario to be in with this one. I do think that it's an interesting one to kind of go against because you just can't really do too much about it if you don't know what's happening. And if I get it perfect, like if I got the Greninja next to be able to power that up as well, I'd already then be doing 20, I'd be doing 40 without even attacking. Then he's obviously got to KO the Druddigon. If obviously you do that without the Sabrina, for instance, you could then go ahead and do another 40, taking out 80 damage a turn without even attacking. Let alone if he does take out the Druddigon here, or even if he takes out the Frogadier, I can answer back with obviously Darkrai doing the 90, and then obviously he's going to go ahead and do it again. So he's going to go and do this one. So he basically wants to attack with that. So what I'll do is I'll just potion up. Oh, so he's got that. Oh no, in fact he's got that, so that's fine. So what he wants to do is obviously go against the Darkrai because he knows that that's going to be the big thing. Just trying to think, is there any way out of that? Because he's got the 1 point now. What I should do is I gotta hope, realistically, for a Druddigon again in this next turn if I can. Ooh, another Darkrai. See, the better option I could have gone for... It's a shame, because if I had another Druddigon, I could have just put that in. But what could be a decent one for this deck, if you are looking to attack as well, would be a Cyrus, because obviously I could bring that Mewtwo in and attack it as well. So obviously, if I was to do this, he's obviously waiting for the attack. We didn't get the Greninja again, so we didn't quite get the full damage off. And he's been pretty clever with it. I should have probably used the potions, because realistically it was the only option. But I could take out the guard. He's then going to obviously take out the Mewtwo. But like I said, it's not necessarily the most foolproof plan. Like, no deck is completely 100% win rate, but it is more win rate than you'd actually expect. To say that you have to attack either very little or you kind of do the final KO blow, it's a very interesting deck with how much win rate. I'll be very interested to see this in a tournament, to see truly how well it could actually do. I don't know if it's worth putting it into that sort of context. I think it's going to be one of them ones. It's almost like a little gimmick sort of deck, if anything. When we're going to get second, we're going to get the Darkrai again. That's nice. We'll then go ahead, swap that. we'll then go ahead and add that one in, and we'll change one of the Greninjas and pray for, realistically, the Druddigon is going to be the fan favorite. Second Darkrai is not really needed. Obviously, Froakie's going to be one that you do want to get in there. So he's going to go with his fire deck. The Infernape? Unbelievable deck. That was a very fun deck. That's going to be coming out tomorrow, I believe. That was an incredible deck. So that one's a fantastic one to have a look at. It's a brilliant, brilliant deck. But in terms of kind of going against this, it's going to have to get to the full whack of it. You only need the 2 energies, but it will discard all energies. Even if you've got 16 on there, it will discard all of them. So we do get the Rocky Helmet next, which is nice. And we can start doing damage to this now. He's not going to attack with that, so that's absolutely fine. So he's going to be basically wait until he gets the full whack. But by then, if we do manage to get the Greninja in, if we get Frogadier next, we do another 20, we get Greninja in, we do then 40 a time, and then at 40 whenever he does decide to actually attack it. At that point, Darkrai can probably come in and attack as well. So it's a beautiful plan on some decks. Doesn't work on absolutely everyone. Like, he'd be silly to attack it here. He can't attack it here because he knows full well, to be honest, some people might think that you only get the 20 because the rough skin is the ability, but it does combine up there, which is the bit that where I'm like, if we get another kind of deck where there is another kind of, what is it? It's almost like a passive deck. So if we do get another one that does do that, that could be the kind of game over. If you've got something that's as quick as Darkrai, for instance, but doesn't require you to put energy on, it is going to be a very, very interesting one to see how it truly works. So we'll see what we get in this. Because sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. I must admit, I think I probably did about 5 matches before all this, and I think I won 3 of them. 2 of them were very good. I just didn't get the deck in play. Like, you didn't get the Rocky Helmet, you didn't get the second Druddigon. He's obviously going for the Rocky Helmet as well. I mean, it works, but it's not necessarily the one that I want. Is he going to go for the Fire Blast straight off the bat? That's going to be the interesting one. Has got the full 20. Ooh, so that's where it's kind of interesting. He's obviously going free. Silly move because it does get rid of all of them. So he's going to go with that. We could do with a second Druddigon in here as well if possible, but it would take him 2 more turns. We're going to get the 40 off there. We really could have done with the Frogadier as well, but it is, what is it? Is it 150 every time? So put the Darkrai in for the moment. So we've got Flare, Blitz, 140. So that would be more than enough for him. So what we want to do... So he's going to go... So he's got 1 energy at the moment. So we're going to take the first hit with Darkrai here. So he's going to get the 20. And then obviously I've got the 2 potions as well. We got the 80. Don't have no Giovanni, unfortunately. Otherwise I would be able to have KO'd him here. But that will still work because he's got to heal up. That's going to be the main thing. He can't do the attack on the first one because obviously he's not read it that it's discard all the fire energy. So you do need to actually just do 2 and have something in the background. He's going to go for the 20 there, which is fair enough. Let's see what he does here. He's got to have some... I don't think he's got anything. I think he's genuinely stuffed himself here. He can't do anything here with, unfortunately. If he does give me the turn... It's got to concede, which 1 attack, that is all that took. But let me know what you think. It's an interesting concept. I don't think it's the way forward. I do prefer actually building a deck like the Darkrai Weavile. I've seen Coffin being added to it, like Weezing. And then obviously we've had multiple different ones that have worked really, really well with it. Let me know what your favourite is. And can you see this being viable in the future?